Okay, we need to talk, guys. We need to talk about Taxi Chaos. You see, I was very excited about this game because I loved Crazy Taxi back on the Dreamcast so much, and even though this wasn't a direct sequel, it seemed like it could be a worthy successor. However, I was always cautiously optimistic about this one, as some of these clone games can be a bit terrible, to be honest. And this wasn't behind any reputable studio or publisher, and between that and the $35 price tag, this could be a one-way ticket to rip off town. Now, normally I would do a more in-depth review, but this game is so bare bones, I'm just gonna give it to you straight. This game is not worth it. Not $35 friggin' dollars. This game should have been $15 max given the state it released in. Now, I am going to go over my full thoughts on this game, but like I said, just note that this isn't my typical style of reviews. Normally, I play a game from 30 to 40 hours before I review it, but there simply isn't enough here. I must have played around 4 hours, and I think it was 3 hours too much. I think what's here could be a solid foundation from which to build on, but it definitely needed more content and more polish. But oh well, like my old Dreamcast used to say, hey, come on over, let's check out some crazy Taxi Chaos. Okay, so the main menu for the game is pretty basic. You get your 3 main modes, an achievements tab, some very basic options, and some leaderboards. Let's take a look at the options first. You get to choose the language, which is for menus and subtitles, and you get to adjust the game's audio. And that's basically it. There's no button remapping or even seeing the controls at all. Then we get to the achievements tab, which by the way, I think is really cool that they add this, since we don't get any integrated achievements or trophies here on the Switch. But when you actually start looking at the achievements, they're really basic, like getting 4 stars on any game mode or unlocking a cab. There really isn't anything exciting, like say deliver a customer only using reverse or wacky stuff like that. There is also this collectibles tab, which might as well not be there. There are a few passengers with unique dialogue in the world, so every time you pick one of these up and deliver them, you advance their quest line. And that's it, this keeps track of that. Then we get to the 3 modes. Let's start with Arcade, which is the main mode you'll be playing. First, you get to pick between 2 characters and then choose a cab, which have different stats and get to unlock them as you play. Then, just like Crazy Taxi, you start with a timer that ticks down and must pick up passengers and deliver them to their destination. These all have their own timer, which varies depending on the distance of the ride. Once you deliver them, you will get money and some bonus time for your timer. You will also score stars depending on the time left for that ride, so the faster you deliver them, the better. The first thing I noticed when I started playing is that you get no indication of the game's controllers, and they are nowhere to be found in any menu. But sure, you kind of empirically know that you accelerate with the right trigger and brake with the left one. But I guess, to my surprise, there wasn't really much else. I mean, you can jump, which I have to admit is pretty cool, but I would have loved having the option to handbrake to make some cool drifts and turns. You can use a boost whenever you're in a full stop, so whenever you pick up a passenger, you can speed off quickly. The map isn't varied enough. There is a park, and there are some docks, and basically everything else is just the same city. You can cut some corners with the jump, or even take some roof shortcuts, but the traversal doesn't feel exciting at all. You get an arrow on top of your cab to give you directions. This will change color when you're getting closer to your destination. The arrow is kind of clunky though, and sometimes it will tell you until the very end of a fork if you're supposed to go left or right. Also, since there is no minimap, you won't be able to decide for yourself when is a good time to try to jump over a building to take a shortcut. You just hope and see if the arrow favors you once you commit. The core driving gameplay is okay, however it really needed more work, and more intricacies like drifting and more interesting environments and shortcuts. Whenever you pick up a passenger, they will do small talk. These get repetitive real soon, like you might have 3 passengers in a row tell you the same exact lines. Another thing is that sometimes when you're going real fast, all they'll do is comment on that, so when you're playing with the faster cabs, you can be sure you will only hear these dialogue options. Once your timer reaches 0, you will end your run and get a star rating based on how well you did. I wish you could see a bar or any indication to see how close you were to the next rank. The second mode is free roam, where you don't have any global timer and are just picking up passengers and getting them to their destination. Honestly, since the game isn't visually impressive, nor the city interesting, I wonder why would they include this mode, as it seemed like a waste of time. Well, I guess it has its purpose, because the third mode is basically arcade but without the guiding arrow. So you will have to have memorized all the map's locations to be able to know how to get to them. You have to get 4 stars in this mode to unlock the best cab, which is a bummer. Graphics are very basic, subpar even. I think I wouldn't mind this so much if overall the game was a bit more fleshed out, or if the price tag was way lower. The soundtrack is very bland. I mean, I wasn't expecting licensed songs like Crazy Taxi, but this seems like elevator music. You notice it's there, but it doesn't add to the experience. Funny thing is, one of the passengers, small talk, asks you if you have any good music, which is so ironic. There is some controversy surrounding the devs and a fake allegation about the publishing of the game, but I won't get into that as I don't think it has been proven. One thing to note is that the devs announced a day 1 patch that would fix some issues like the directional arrow, the rankings, and even add some rock songs to the soundtrack. This update is already up on other platforms, and I believe they stated that it should hit the Switch in about 1 or 2 weeks. Now, I'm sure this update will improve the game, but I just don't believe it's enough for it to justify a $35 price tag. Okay, so I was really let down by this game. I think this could have been a solid foundation to keep working on and have a great game in maybe a year, but this really feels like the minimum viable product. I believe this game should have been priced at around $15 at most, but oh well. Overall, Taxi Chaos scores a 3.5 out of 10. So yeah guys, this was a huge disappointment for me. I was definitely expecting something much more fleshed out for this price, right? I can only hope other developers pick up the mantle and give us a worthy successor, or better yet have Sega finally give us a proper sequel in Crazy Taxi 4. I mean, one can dream, right? Every week I will be uploading more content to the channel, so maybe subscribe. I hope you have a fantastic day and remember, stay engaged!